The term creator economy suggests an economy that belongs to creatives when it's really asking you to create for free, get paid in attention, and thank the platforms that profit off your labor for the opportunity to do what you love. Welcome to Marketing Muckraking, the show that asks not simply what brand culture can do for us, but what it's doing to us. With your host, creative director, and brand strategist gone wild, Rachel K. Albers, making fun of business and making business fun. This is the show for rebels, revolutionaries, and renegades who run businesses that burn the rule book. If you're sick of business podcasts that have all the answers, well, I got nothing but questions. Let's go. Episode 22, The Age of Personal Unbranding. The wildcard bitch is back. Welcome to Season 2 of Marketing Muckraking. I started Season 1 with the age of the personal brand, and because I love a good callback, I am continuing the conversation as we kick off Season 2. In my very first episode, I traced back the origins of the term personal brand to Tom Peters and his 1997 Fast Company article, The Brand Called You. When Peters told readers to take a lesson from the big brands, establish your own micro equivalent of the Nike swoosh. Peters positioned personal branding as freedom from corporate rule. He said, and I quote, "You're not an employee of General Motors. You're not a staffer at General Mills. You're not a worker at General Electric or a human resource at General Dynamics." Oh, it's gone. Forget the generals. You don't belong to any company for life. And your chief affiliation isn't to any particular function. You're not defined by your job title. You're not confined by your job description. Starting today, you are a brand. Nope, sorry, don't listen to him. You are not a brand. Because a brand, by its very definition, doesn't belong to itself. And you do. As I explored in episode 19, the not so subtle art of caring what other people think, a brand lives in its audience's mind. A brand is a memory. And yeah, I'm going to quote myself here. Your brand is what people remember about you based on a complicated mess of factors, what they've experienced, felt, heard, read, and seen, that ultimately becomes a paint-splattered memory that people like me fold up into a 5-letter word. The best brands are consistent in ways that humans are not built to be. Brands only change when the market demands it. Brands answer to sales, not themselves, because a brand doesn't have a self. The promise of personal branding is that you can get paid to be yourself, but the capitalist disclaimer hidden in the fine print, results not typical, hinges on whether the self that you're selling is what people want. So much of what is taught about personal branding revolves around scaling the self, streamlining the self, sculpting the self around an audience, replacing to be with to buy. But the get paid to be yourself promise only comes true if you are ready and willing to surrender yourself to the version of you that the market will bear, and then package up that commodified you into a neat little box and get to work cranking out more in an assembly line of ideas to stock the shelves of the creator economy. Let's pause there. Because just as personal branding promises freedom when it's really selling you a box that you'll never fit inside, the term creator economy suggests an economy that belongs to creatives when it's really asking you to create for free, get paid in attention, and thank the platforms that profit off your labor for the opportunity to do what you love. To be a content creator is to accept an unpaid internship in the attention economy, which is a more accurate title than the creator economy, if you ask me, with the hope that it'll turn into dollar bills somewhere down the line. But the folks making the most money aren't the creators. It's the tycoons at the top of the pyramid reselling the attention that the creators captured for them. And this is how the advertising industry was built, by luring the best and the brightest creatives away from their art with the promise of a steady paycheck, and then transforming them into marketers, making somebody else rich. So I just can't get down with calling myself a content creator. I don't want to create content. The very term turns my art, my ideas, my nuanced, unboxed, unbranded self into marketing for somebody else's business. Can you imagine how history will look back on this moment when we went from being artists to content creators? Don't let the attention economy or the age of the personal brand convince you that this is empowering, that this is freedom, that this serves you and your needs and ideas and dreams and evolving self. It reminds me of that scene with Sarah in the junkyard from the 1986 movie Labyrinth. You know, the one with David Bowie in tiny leggings and Jennifer Connelly in an enormous 80s ball gown. So if you're not familiar, the film's basic plot is that 16-year-old Sarah has 13 hours to solve a labyrinth to save her baby brother from being turned into a goblin. I swear it's better than it sounds. Just go with me here. So in this scene, Sarah's time is running out. She has just escaped from the Goblin King, trying to seduce her at the world's creepiest masquerade ball, which, remember, she's 16, and this movie could only have been made in the 80s. So after she escapes from this creepy, tiny tights Bowie goblin, she finds herself disoriented in the middle of this apocalyptic junkyard. Things are going from bad to worse until she ducks into a pile of trash and she's back in her bedroom. Back at home. She plops under her bed. She hugs her teddy bear. She looks around and says, "It was just a dream." And I remember as a child watching this movie, feeling this enormous sense of relief. Okay, the labyrinth is over. The tiny tights Bowie goblin is gone. The end. We're good. And then she opens her bedroom door and there's the apocalyptic junkyard again. Oh no! She's not home. She's still in the labyrinth. The Bowie goblin is still out there ready to turn her baby brother into one of his minions. Oh my God. Are you still with me? Okay, so if you followed me to the apocalyptic junkyard, the creator economy, the attention economy, the age of the personal brand offers us this taste of relief, this feeling of safety in the apocalyptic junkyard of capitalism. But make no mistake, we are not home here. We still have to face the Goblin King. And just as in the labyrinth, time is running out before the whole planet becomes an apocalyptic junkyard. You know what I mean? To believe that we are brands, as Tom Peters told us we were in 1997, and that packaging ourselves up is freedom. To allow our art to be transformed into content and our ideas into commodities is to believe that we are home again when we are really smack dab in the Goblin King's clutches. And the Goblin King in this very stilted analogy is kind of like a Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk combo who I think we can all agree nobody wants to see in tiny tights. And yet here we are, and you really can't unsee the picture I just painted. So if you are picking up what I am putting down here, if you are listening to this podcast, it probably means that you have felt trapped in the labyrinth too. Because either you run a business and you're working through the emotional side of building a brand, being a brand, and you're wondering why it feels so fucked up. Or you don't run a business, but you're still existing in the age of the personal brand, funding the attention economy with your eyeballs and grappling with how much our society still expects you to be a brand, even when you have nothing to sell. How do you escape the labyrinth and return home to yourself? This podcast exists to explore that question, to go back in history and figure out how we got to this apocalyptic junkyard, to map out the terrain so that we don't keep going in circles, to find new ways of battling the Goblin Kings of our day, to explore how to unbrand ourselves before it is too late. I believe there is a way out, but I also believe that we have to find it together. And calling it back to the labyrinth, I don't know, maybe I can be your hoggle. What I know is that one wildcard bitch is just not enough. So, you coming or what? Let's blow this joint. Let's go. If you want more marketing muckraking and brand strategy gone wild, I invite you to subscribe to this show. And if you enjoyed it, leave me a review. That really helps me out. If you hated it, please send it to your enemies. They sound like good people. You can go to rachelkalbers.com/subscribe to get these updates in your inbox. And because this show is self-sponsored, if you wanted to support my work, you can go to buymearobe.com. That's where the magic happens. In the meantime, remember, it's not the age of the niche, it's the age of the wildcard bitch. See you on the internet.